Middlesex's inexperienced team lost on a compelling final day in Uxbridge by 4 wickets as the Sri Lankans began their tour of England in a successful style. The final morning of this 3-day exercise began with Middlesex resuming on 26 for 1 to lead by 77 runs, and they lost early wickets beginning with Dan Housego, who played on the 21st ball of the day to go for 10. He was followed in the next over by Andrew Strauss. He'd made 25 after his first innings century, when for once he couldn't keep his trademark cut shot down and was caught at gully. And when young Adam Rossington edged the impressive Chanaka Wellagadara behind to go for 4, Middlesex had slipped to 59 for 4 in the first 40 minutes of the day. Wellagadara is likely to open the bowling in the Test series. The Sri Lankans bowling in English conditions is expected to be their weak suit, but they'd started the day in a very spirited fashion, although they were now held up for a while by Jamie Dalrymple and Dawid Malan, who added 27 for the 5th wicket. They'd taken the total to 86 for a lead of 137, when Malan edged Parvez Maharouf to slip to depart for an innings top score of 34. Then in the following over, the tourists sensed victory possibly for the first time in the match, as Dalrymple played over a delivery from Ajantha Mendis and was bowled for 13. It had been a very good morning for the Sri Lankan bowlers, who put their side into a strong position, but Middlesex didn't roll over as John Simpson and Tom Smith tried to get them back ahead of the game. They were each to find the boundary as Middlesex headed towards lunch. But to what turned out to be the final ball before the break, Smith was leg before to Rangana Herath after making 16. Lunch was taken with the home side on 122 for 7, giving them a lead of 173, and they lost Simpson on the resumption, which left the tail to try to hold out. However, after some brief resistance, Gurjit Sandhu was well held at short leg by Taranga Paranavitana to go for 8. And Anthony Ireland holed out off Mendis to end his innings on 22. Middlesex had been dismissed second time out for 161 inside 49 overs to leave the Sri Lankans 213 runs to win from the same amount of overs. And they made a bad start as Prasanna Jayawardena tried to pinch a quick single off Tom Parsons, who executed a brilliant run out in spite of being on his knees when he released the ball. The tourists were 1 down with only 5 runs on the board, and they nearly lost Lahiru Tiriman, who was fortunate to survive after gloving Ireland just over the top of the wicketkeeper. Tilan Samaraweera, meanwhile, played confidently, while the heroes of their first innings, in which no wickets had been taken, gave others a chance to shine. The score had reached 60 after 15 overs to set the tourists a decent platform, but they then lost Tiriman, Dalrymple striking for the first time since his return to Middlesex, courtesy of some turn and a good catch by Malan. It was also the first wicket by a Middlesex bowler in 84 overs of trying in this match. The tourists didn't let that upset their rhythm though, and they kept playing their shots as they went in search of a confidence-boosting victory. It was turning out to be an ideal situation for them as they were getting in some proper testing match practice. Samaraweera and Dinesh Chandimal brought up the 100 in the 23rd over, before the former was out 1 short of his half-century, Dalrymple and Malan combining again for the wicket. 108 were now required in 25 overs, a simple enough target which was brought down to 76 off 18 by the time Chandimal was out for 39 as he missed a sweep shot and was leg before to Smith. That brought the test openers, Paranavitana and Tilakaratne Dilshan, the first innings centurions, together, and they again looked in fine form as they kept well ahead of the rate. Dilshan in particular has bags of experience of chasing down targets such as this one, and he knew just what to do. Middlesex, though, were given a sniff of a win themselves when both fell in the space of 5 balls. Paranavitana was caught in the deep by Rossington off Smith on 28, and Dilshan mishit Ireland to Dalrymple to be out for a runner ball 22. That put the tourists on 181 for 6, and 32 were needed from the last 10. Herath and Lancashire's Maharouf, who's not officially part of this touring team, then guided their side home with no problems. 1 run then was needed when Dalrymple shoved a ball leg side to give the Sri Lankans 4 byes to win the match with 5 overs to spare. It had been a testing match for the tourists and a good exercise for plenty of the Middlesex fringe players, who will have learnt a lot from this experience in spite of the defeat.